right, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to do a quick update on Verasity VRA. I try to cover this project pretty often, and today we're just going to do a quick chart analysis and price prediction update, and then we're going to get into a little bit of bullish news that came out recently about VRA. So let's jump right in. Recently, October to November, we saw a head and shoulders print on the chart. Usually that's a bearish pattern. We saw that play out, and this actually correlated pretty well with the drop in Bitcoin as well, and that kind of dumped it further. We saw us try to stand on this, and then we dump further, and obviously we saw kind of this healthy pullback with every single coin, and obviously more intensely with altcoins. Here we saw Verasity drop about 63-64%. I wouldn't say it's anything to panic about, just a healthy correction. It kind of would have been unnatural to keep running from this high and just to continue going this early in the cycle. So that's kind of how we got to where we are at now. What I will say about the chart overall here, just kind of getting into kind of the nitty gritty, I will say that there is a really nice bullish structure. Last time we talked about VRA, we talked about how this fib in particular, this 3.1 ish cent fib, how that was going to be really important, because this is what was going to keep our bullish trend intact. Now this support zone is going to be crucial. We could fall and play between this, but we do not want to break below this. If we break below this, our bullish structure is completely broken in terms of the trend, and this trend line will be broken completely along with the trend from this lower low. So we want to watch the support zone carefully, but right now we do have a nice bullish structure going for VRA, and this bounce is looking pretty healthy at the moment. So want to get into another couple reasons why I'm bullish in terms of chart analysis. The other thing we can make a case for here is a falling wedge. And falling wedges are typically bullish. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed in crypto, but falling wedges are typically considered pretty bullish. This one, not the neatest falling wedge, but you can make the argument for it. And typically that is a bullish structure. So in terms of the chart analysis, we are looking pretty bullish. The other thing that I would note is that we have not stayed below the 50-day moving average. As you can see, we just dropped recently below the 200-day moving average. We recently dropped below that. In the history of Verasity, we have never really stayed below that for very long. You see here, we stay for it briefly. Back here, it's hard to see. We were below it, just for this little period of time. But we've only been below it really twice in Veracity's history as a coin, and it doesn't really stay below that for very long. So if we do drop below and kind of consolidate below the 200-day moving average, I would expect a pump to the upside shortly after that consolidation. The other thing I want to note is that our RSI indicator is looking extremely bullish. So the RSI is the relative strength indicator. I don't want to get too into it in the interest of time for this video, but basically when the RSI is above 70, typically it's considered to be overbought. So these would be locations where Verasity would be considered technically overbought. If the RSI falls below 30, so down here, that is when it's oversold, and typically that is when there is a better buying opportunity. But what I want to point out to you is that we recently bounced off of the oversold 30 RSI marker, and now we're consolidating above right around 35. And what I want to point out about that is that every time that we have bounced off of the 30 RSI marker, we have seen a significant move to the upside. So, hopefully that gives us an indication of where we might be headed soon. Who knows? I think we might see a little bit more consolidation, especially since Bitcoin and Ethereum, need to behave for these altcoins, and that includes Verasity, of course, for them to perform well. But this is just another reason why I'm pretty bullish right now on Verasity. I think it might be a good time to accumulate some coins. So now I kind of want to talk about key levels of where we need to be going next to make sure that we can kind of lock in some of these moves to the upside. Like I said, we have this nice bullish structure and we're bouncing off of this fib right now. So if we were to say, okay, right now we're gonna kind of make sure that we don't drop into the support zone. Obviously it's not ideal if we do, but okay if we do. This is kind of more so the critical level, this kind of 2.5 cent level. We do not want to fall below that. Like I said, it's okay if we dip and play in this zone, but we don't want to fall below. What I could see happening here is a consolidation between these fibs. We come up here and bounce on some of these and more than likely print a inverse head and shoulders, which is a bullish pattern. But I don't think once we actually start gaining a little bit more volume and once this RSI indicator actually flips convincingly to the upside, so more so looking like this, once it flips back to the upside and we have some more buys coming in, some more healthy volume, I think it's not going to be as much of an issue to pass by this 3.7 cent fib and this 4.5 cent fib. I think the real issue is going to be this neckline fib at 5.5 cents. I think that this is going to give us a lot of trouble. I think that when we're getting a lot of volume, it's going to be easier to climb these, but I think we're going to see a ton of resistance at this 5.5 cent level. So short term, I think our target is, so short term, I mean in the next, few weeks, hopefully to a month, we need to be playing between 4.5 and 5.5 cents, and then putting us in a position to break the 5.5 cent level up here. So short term, we need to be looking at 5.5 cents, and we need to break that level to print that inverse head and shoulders, and then climb back to the upside to find that high that we had before. So that covers kind of the more so short-term outlook. I want to talk long-term. Obviously we kind of, as we were running up here, we heard, a lot of predictions for $1, a lot more rumors about exchange listings. It's kind of gone quiet in terms of rumors. Obviously the rumors are still out there, but I think, it's kind of slowed down a little bit and people are kind of just waiting for Verasity to talk about it and for a listing to come out. I think $1 is obviously possible really, really long term. I think we need to talk realistically about this cycle long term. So if you are kind of subscribing to the idea of lengthening cycles, we'd be looking at, somewhere in the end of or, middle of next year. And I believe that if we're going to replicate what we did back here in terms of this growth, we would see something between 30 cents and 40 cents. I think that's more of a realistic range to shoot for as opposed to $1. Obviously, if we get 2 or 3 listings, this thing could go through the roof. I just think that we need to be more realistic based on what we're seeing in the charts. So I think 30 to 40 cents would be a realistic range. On the more conservative side, I think we go with the fib retracement high-end fib at 21 cents. So between 21 and 40 cents would be the wider range. I think 30 to 40 is definitely doable. Conservatively, 21 cents long term. I know a lot of people want to talk about these high $1, $2, $3, even $10 I've seen out there on Twitter. But we need a lot to go right and a lot to happen for us to reach those kind of prices. We need to see mass adoption of Veracity's technology, which obviously the technology is exciting, but that's easier said than done. So just to really, really recap super briefly, short term, I don't think that, I think we're going to play at worst within this support zone and bounce off of 2.5 cents. If we don't, we might just bounce right off of this fib. And when we come back up and actually start to see more healthy volume, I think we're not going to have too much of a problem running up between these fibs. But I do think that this one is going to give us serious resistance. That's at 5.5 cents. So short term, we want to keep our eyes on 5.5 cents once we start running back up. And that is, around a 70%, 75% move from where we are now. And I think that's going to be our next huge resistance in terms of, short to midterm outlook. So now let's dive into just a couple of news points about VRA. First of all, this is a really cool metric. So there's something called Lunar Crush. It's a website that consolidates social intelligence scores for altcoins and larger coins. And basically it tracks things like, if you can see the social volume, shared links, news volume, social engagement, social contributors, and it aggregates these into what they call a galaxy score. And VRA recently won first place in the top 10 for galaxy score. And as you can see down here, it says it's a combined measure of cryptocurrency indicators used to correlate and understand the overall health, quality, and performance of a specific project. So this is really, really cool that, they're ahead of projects like, AVAX, XPR, and they're making moves in terms of the social attention and community that they're building. So very cool to see that. The other thing I would note, very, very small piece of news, but definitely noteworthy. They're starting to kind of expand their ties in terms of how people can buy VRA. Right, at least up until this point, it's been KuCoin mainly, and then kind of transferring to a MetaMask or staking on Vera wallet. But now they have a partnership with Transact to have 0 fees when purchasing VRA. So it's just another way to knock down those barriers to be able to purchase the coin, which we love to see. Other thing I would note is that they are expanding a Telegram channel to focus on Africa as well. Their Telegram channel has an insane following. I think it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of folks in there, just all communicating about the technology, the future, and opportunities for the community. So very, very cool to see that they are expanding out to Africa. And I just kind of wanted to end the video on this note. Really, really cool take from the Verasity team about the long-term outlook of the project. So they received a question from a community member saying almost 80% of investors have just focused on price of token in short term instead of understanding the real value of the project. Can you tell us on motivations and benefits for investors to hold VRA token in the long term? And they responded with, what's really unique about Verasity is that it's an entire ecosystem. As we add larger events to Vera Esports, where we own 100% of the IP, of the content, Vera Esports will start to compete with major gaming platforms. And you can see, they are thinking very, very long-term with this project. They're talking about watch and earn. They're talking about helping advertisers and publishers ensure content is verified from a human view and engagement standpoint. So it's really, really cool to see them focusing on the project as a long-term ecosystem that they're building, as opposed to, a pump and dump coin or some other coin that doesn't have, essential real-world utility for some of these larger corporations that can afford to pour money into projects like this. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found something valuable in the video, would really appreciate it if you dropped a like, and we'll see you in the next video. Let me know what other projects you would like me to cover. Thank you so much.